This is a 4.5-year-old buck that my father-in-law shot this gun season here in Minnesota, and I want to tell the story not just of the history and the hunt of this deer, but really also the contributing factors from the land perspective and how the work we've done to this property has really given us the opportunities to kill mature bucks like this one and really allow deer to thrive in a relatively small environment. And let's just dive right in. And this story starts 2 years ago. So October 20th, I'm sitting in the deer stand. It's a rainy day. It's October 20th. It has dropped probably 25 degrees since yesterday about this time. It's right around 45 degrees right now. It's still rainy. I'm kind of hoping. And just all heck breaks loose, like last hour of light, and this buck is chasing a doe, and I'm like just so in awe that buck's chasing a doe right now. This is crazy. And I'm starting to get a glimpse of this buck, and it looks to me like a 9 or a 10 point, and never seen this buck on camera or anything before. And so I was just excited. I was like, man, if I get an opportunity to shoot at this buck, I'm taking it. So that's exactly what happened. I mean, he came back around, looped through the opening again, and he actually hit a scrape and had his head up and was there for a few seconds. So I drew back, took a shot, and boy did I whiff the shot big. I missed way out of left field. I mean, it was way out. I don't know what happened. I just missed that buck. That's a buck I've never seen out here before. Never seen that buck. And I'm glad I missed that buck for many reasons, and part of that is 2 weeks later I shot this buck not far from that same location. So it's amazing to think that missing that buck would end up turning into the story I get to tell today, because we got to see history of this buck from when he was 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. And this is a story of really like how deer can really express their full potential, and it is an eye-opening experience for me, even having spent tons of time learning about deer and management practices and everything I can do to sustain this resource and to make land better. And you hear it from every corner of the industry, and if you let the deer get older, they can express their full potential. And I grew up in northern Minnesota. I didn't see a lot of big bucks. I didn't see hardly much for deer. So I've made it a mission that I would learn as much as I can and really create better places for deer to thrive and get to really learn deer. And so over the last 4 years, I've been able to work on this landscape that we hunt and put in a ton of effort to make it a lot better. So really, the land management has played a big role in having the success of this mature buck. But anyway, I just am, when you get to see it in real life where you have a buck from 2.5, 3.5 to 4.5, you get to see those jumps and their potential and what they're growing for one, being a healthy deer, and then also like how that correlates too into like a more impressive set of antlers as well. And so I got to see that in live form, where it's like, wow, from 2.5, you know, when I missed him, he was really only 100, maybe 105 inch whitetail. You know, I would have been proud to shoot that deer, even though I missed. But like, if you're not proud of what you shoot, then something's wrong, you know. I mean, that's part of it, is really enjoying the experience too, and being proud of what you do, and putting food on the table too. I mean, you got to do that as well. That's part of it. So I'm still a young hunter too, in terms of like, you know, my goals and like what do I want to accomplish as a bow hunter and all that. So, you know, I'm extremely proud to shoot that type of buck. But I got to see him then and what he turned into now, and that's been like, it clicked now. So now I'm like chasing this buck going into 2022 season after I missed him in 2021. I never saw him in the summer again, and I was like, man, I don't know, maybe he died or something, or who knows, got shot, hit by a car, anything can happen. And sure enough, 2022, mid to late October, shows up on cameras again, and wow, he has turned into an absolute awesome 10-point, narrow rack, but just nice big frame. And I ended up hunting him hard in 2022 and just never could catch up with him. He was just ping-ponging all over the place, just inconsistent in the rhyme or reason of where he was, like, but he was spending time on the property. So there is that going in it, but really he just was everywhere. 2022 came and went, never got a crack at him, and 2023 came around, and you know, you always have that feeling too, like, maybe he didn't make it, and we're watching a couple other bucks that have been using the property all summer into fall, and you're seeing all the hard work on the land kind of start giving high quality food to these deer and allowing them to express their full potential, and seeing bucks utilize the property more in daylight. So we're seeing other bucks use it now too, and more frequently. And then sure enough, October comes around again, mid-October, bam, there he was. He blew up again, and I bet you know, each year he's been putting on about 20 inches, and so it was just a awesome looking buck on trail cam photos, and you knew it was him. And I was showing my friend Steve and my wife Danny this buck. He's back, and for whatever reason, you know, we didn't really have a name for him, and my wife just was like, let's call him Ranger. I'm like, that's perfect, because he ranged around the whole property, and he just would always drift in for the fall season. And our land was his fall range, and so that's also kind of cool to see that you've created a property that a buck wants to come here for the fall. And Ranger stuck, you know, I'm seeing him show up on camera left and right, like he's out there, and he is nice looking. And the night before gun season, I haven't had a crack at him yet. I've hunted a little bit, and sure enough, the night before gun season, he shows up in daylight, probably walks, who knows, probably within 15 feet of one of the main stands that we've set up for access and food plots. And that next morning I was like, Danny, you gotta go sit this stand. Like, he's there. So she was jacked. She was like, I'm gonna shoot this buck. She was so dead set she was gonna shoot Ranger, and lo and behold, my father-in-law was sitting kind of on the other side of the property from my wife, and he ended up getting eyes on him late in the morning on a gun opener, and he was following a doe, ended up getting a shot at him and putting him down on the ground. So this buck ends up landing on the other side of the river from where my father-in-law was sitting. And so my brother-in-law, my wife, and I ended up meeting up and getting down into the river where this buck was. I had no idea that he had shot Ranger. He just said he shot a buck. And I get down there, I'm like, that is a Ranger. And what a cool experience to see that buck, harvested by your father-in-law. It was a cool reward to see all your hard work, culminate into getting a mature buck on the ground. And now we all get to experience it and all work together to get this buck out, and it was awesome. So that ends the chapter, I guess, if you will, on the book of this land, with the story of Ranger kind of being done. But we can learn so many things from this buck and seeing this history with him from 2.5 to 4.5 and consistently using the property. And a lot of that I contribute to the work we've been doing over the last 4 years, and I've put a lot of time and energy into making this a better place to hunt over the last 4 years, and you can see the results working when you're starting to get mature bucks like this, use the property and getting them in daylight. That is just like game on. Like, we're doing something right. It's exciting. There's so much room to grow now. And biggest thing I've actually taken away from this buck on our property is the fact that, hey, we've built stuff where they feel comfortable, they want to thrive here, they're getting something out of the land. We've got a lot of improvement on access yet that we're doing, and we've got some big projects ahead for this next year that it's gonna be huge jumps. And we'll get into that here in some other videos. But really, we've got food plots kind of all over the property, which it's good to add a lot of high quality food and get it on your property. But what I'm seeing is I'm thinking that might have contributed a lot to the inconsistencies of these bucks in terms of why they're over here and over there on random days. And I think we need to focus more on concentrating those food sources in particular areas. We started doing that this year, which obviously resulted in a successful hunt with my wife shooting a 6-pointer that same morning and Ranger hitting the ground as well. And so as we move forward with our land improvements and creating better habitat for wildlife, deer in particular, and working on getting turkeys to use the property more, we're going to concentrate our efforts to get more consistent travel through the property rather than that scattered effect, which we proved it out that having those concentrated spots of food has definitely helped greatly. And now we can start making more efforts in those areas. So that's a big takeaway. And then seeing the history with this buck and the potential bucks have if you let them grow is huge. So again, it's just working with your neighbors too on working together and having similar goals, hopefully, or just sharing what you're learning with each other is big, and that helps a ton. So doing that, and another big takeaway is just watching deer and learning how they're using the property, because that's going to tell you a lot on where those areas you need to accent with your habitat improvements. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. I am excited to share more content as we roll into this next year. Please subscribe to the channel and share this video with somebody you think will get a kick out of it and maybe get something out of it as well. So, see you on the land. I've got a little bit of time yet here in December to get after a buck I call Clover 10, and hope everybody had a great season. So, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next video.